There is evil at work in the land to the west, Prince Ashitaka.
What's up, guys? Today we're talking about the 1997 animated classic Princess Mononoke, directed by Hayao Miyazaki. Princess Mononoke tells the story of Ashitaka, an Emishi Prince, who gets infected with a curse after a battle with a demonic boar god. Exiled from his village, Ashitaka takes off to the west in hopes to find a cure for his curse. He then meets San, a woman raised by the forest wolf gods, and becomes embroiled in a battle for the environment, humanity, and life itself. Princess Mononoke is a totemic work, moving and gorgeous. A picture that leaves me moved to tears, not just because it was my first favorite Miyazaki movie, but because of its message on humanity and the damage we inflict on the earth in the name of prosperity and industry. Not only that, but the idea of war, choosing a side, and caring for your fellow human ring true just as much now as they did back in 1997. I had a chance to see it in theaters exclusively, celebrating its 4K re-release. And seeing it in that resolution, in IMAX, with big, gorgeous speakers was 100% worth it. From the moment Ashitaka takes off into the mountains and Joe Hisaishi's score swells, tears welled in my eyes. This is a beautiful, beautiful movie, from its story, its visuals, and its music. All of its elements create something unique and special. It also left me thinking, is this Miyazaki's best movie? And I think it might be. Here's why. What makes Princess Mononoke so exceptional is that I feel it so succinctly captures Miyazaki's stance on art. Miyazaki's movies have the facade of children's fare, but underneath the bright and colorful layers of story and characters, he is using the medium as a vehicle to discuss real-world issues. At the forefront of Princess Mononoke is the very real threat of human imperialism and industrialism ruining the planet. It has even caused the forest deities and denizens to pit against each other, as the beginning of the film frames animals as grotesque and carrying disease. What we find out is that the human-made bullets are what caused the boar god, Nago, to be corrupted with the demon curse from the beginning. There's no allusion to anything else. Human interference is ruining the beauty of Muromachi-era Japan here. Ashitaka is a deft choice as a protagonist, absolutely the most well-written and conceived character. From top to bottom, his design immediately places him in an actively neutral place, but not neutral by default. His cap with the white marks resembling eyes are reminiscent of animal camouflage. He is in touch with an animalistic nature. He looks at each situation for its real humanity, with a real respect for life. Constantly, characters call him out as a traitor, only for him to turn back towards them when they are in need. He's a messenger for good above all, as he is more aware than ever of the impending doom coming their way. The choice to curse him from the beginning adds an effective and sometimes very fun and satisfying tension. Even more interesting are the dualistic layers to the so-called evil humans of Irontown. Irontown itself is made of saved sex workers, as described by the self-assured and brazen Toki and her band of women, due to the efforts of Lady Eboshi, who is the leader of their town and people. Lady Eboshi and the men and women of Irontown are often seen wielding early versions of gun and powder-based weaponry, but when you find out that those weapons are designed by people with leprosy, it adds a moving and complex layer. Lady Eboshi sees humanity in all kinds of people despite class or disease, so why can she not see and respect the denizens of the forest? What Miyazaki does so deftly is using Ashitaka as the go-between, an arbiter for plot momentum. The audience is introduced to the kindness and wonder of the forest, as well as the dueling ideologies of it opposed to an industrialized village like Irontown. We even see the ways that Ashitaka is received by various villages as he travels, often shunned and chastised as an outsider. When the Kodama show up to guide Ashitaka and the injured Irontown shepherds out of the forest, we see that these spirits mean no harm. In fact, it is made abundantly clear that all can work in tandem. Still, prejudices loom large, and for good reason. The wolf gods and Sans are out for vengeance against Lady Eboshi. It all seems very clear, but like another more modern ongoing conflict where many are suffering at the expense of war and making a quick buck on weaponry, it's not as simple to the people actively dealing with the problem. In fact, that clarity really just stems from a lack of understanding or perspective. If a wolf continues to kill your cattle, you kill the wolf, but one begins to wonder if you needed to kill the wolf at all if you weren't mass breeding cattle for their skin and flesh. Humanity is capable of devastating and violent things. Many words come to mind when describing the visual style of this movie. Gobsmacked comes to mind, but something that captures the aesthetic of Princess Mononoke is the word transcendent. We're experiencing a world where gods walk amongst the trees, ones that can rise above the branches and towards the sky, wherever they step, causing life and decay in tandem, such as the steady balance of our planet. Choosing the Muromachi era aesthetic was an excellent choice, as not only was that time period great for costuming and whatnot, but it shows that modern times are not all that different from that era priority-wise. The animation, simply put, is brilliant and lived in. Mononoke's forests are addictive, enticing, and mysterious, containing locales you never want to leave. Every scene is like the page of a book you cannot stop turning. Once you get a glimpse of the curse-infected boar, you can't look away. When Ashitaka's cursed arm begins vibrating with hatred and anger, you get excited to see what will follow, how his body and mind will react to this frightening affliction. There's a strange but amazing tonal tightrope walk. The movie is often funny, then tense and heartwarming, and then heartbreakingly sad. Ashitaka's learning of the uncontrollable and superhuman nature of his curse creates some of my favorite scenes of the movie. His power is so unstoppable that the violence that follows makes you laugh at how comedically over the top it is. Animation can capture those tones so adeptly in ways that live action sometimes loses me. Seriously, seeing him fly an arrow that chops both hands off a samurai is absolutely hysterical. But then later, once he's aware of what he's capable of, and us as the audience, it adds a tragically comedic layer to those characters who do choose to push past his boundaries and engage in battle. Miyazaki and his team utilized a 2D format with some 3D computer-generated elements, which at the time was a novel and unique technique to a creator like Miyazaki especially. Given his modern disdain for AI art, I'm sure it was difficult at first for him to embrace the use of a computer to create his animated worlds. But like with most things, changing with the times can often mean improved workflows and even more breadth of creativity. You can see that in this movie. Every scene feels humongous and alive. Any moment in the realm of the forest god, with his gloriously silly, flat face attached to a deer body, theater was silent. The gravity of that imagery has staying power, and truly all of the creature designs specifically in this movie are timeless. There's a frightening might and majesty to each animal on screen, and Miyazaki and Co.'s reverence for nature is unparalleled in this movie. Casting Keith David as Okoto may be the most inspired English voice casting for the dub, his voice booming and triumphant, even when it seems all hope is lost. Okoto's design especially is breathtaking to see on screen. In short, this movie looks amazing, and the battle sequences are incredible. But the visuals of this movie would be nothing without Joe Hisaishi's score. The horns in this movie, the soaring strings, it brings a tear to my eye just thinking about it. The emotional weight of this movie is greatly aided by Joe's music, and much like the work he did in The Boy and the Heron, there is a sobering and sad quality in his compositions. There's respect, admiration, and terror in each note of the score, an appreciation for beauty and life that imbues the movie with that feeling even more so. I was even listening to the score while writing the script and teared up several times, no joke, and I'm sure you guys are tired of hearing how much I cry watching movies, but it's a reality. It's really, really something. My favorite pieces include Departure to the West and Ashitaka and San. Howard Shore was definitely inspired by these pieces for the Lord of the Rings soundtrack, as was Nobuo Uematsu with the Final Fantasy 8 and 9 soundtracks. They sound like birds of a feather to Hisaishi's score here. There's a markedly female angle to the film, and even the androgynous nature of the forest god is worth looking into. Lady Eboshi, for example, is the female leader of a society in a past age that would typically have had men as leaders. And this is being Miyazaki's shot at the patriarchal nature of modern Japan and other nations. I appreciated the female aspect of the movie and how much agency, or assumed agency, that Miyazaki chose to give those characters. Aside from that feminist slant, Miyazaki is making obvious comparisons to social politics and war. And reading online, I noticed he was critical of Japan's choice to provide aid in the Gulf War, seeing it as a similar preamble to how World War I started, and thus of history repeating itself. This point is hammered in further with the movie's ending. After the boars and wolves have banded together to stop the human affliction, their use of gas weapons and guns to push in and destroy the forest god, Ashitaka comments that the air smells of animal blood. Devastation is upon them. The monk Jigo and his goons have ambushed Okoto, alone and with his comrades slain previously after their assault on Irontown, and they eventually decapitate the forest god. The forest god's retaliation is devastating, unleashing a black ooze that lays waste to all life it touches, including Lady Eboshi's arm being ripped off by Moro's severed and reanimated head. Eventually, Ashitaka and San return the forest god's head to him, and all is set back to normal. Ashitaka's curse is seemingly lifted, but San returns to the forest, still unable to forgive Eboshi and humanity's devastation of nature. There's a bleakness to the ending. Eboshi is obviously physically impacted by the loss of a limb, and seemingly changed in her morals, but she vows to build a better and newer version of Irontown. How can you rebuild such a town without committing the same mistakes as before? History repeats itself. One hopes that the movie only has a happy ending, but I wonder. There's a hopeless and sad quality I'm left with, though that triumphant moment of Ashitaka's curse being lifted is not lost on me. Princess Mononoke is a special movie and Miyazaki sensei's best. The visual style and aesthetic is perfectly crafted. Its messaging clear and evident, but also deeply layered and nuanced in ways that I'm still unpacking. It's eminently rewatchable and more relevant as a movie than it's ever been. Joe Hisaishi's music sounds even better on those big, beautiful theater speakers. What do you think of Princess Mononoke? Is it your favorite Miyazaki movie? If not, which one is? Leave all the comments below, and before you go, don't forget to like and smash that subscribe button. Thank you all so much for watching this video and continuing to support the channel. Until next time, let's all commit to the words of Ashitaka, especially given what America is going through right now, to see the world with eyes unclouded by hate. Peace.
My name is Ashitaka. I've traveled far from lands to the east.